All right, so we're gonna get started. I think we're good, especially just trying to be good on time. As we get started, I first want to start off and introduce the Backline team. For those that don't know me, my name is Mag Rodriguez. I'm the program director for the Backline Milwaukee program. Previously, I was an artist manager, audio engineer, and producer, currently based in Milwaukee. Sway, are you on, or Brian?
Hey everyone, Brian here. I'm a program manager for the music programs here in Generators. So we have Backline Milwaukee, we'll have Backline Cleveland this year as well, and then Motown.
Everybody, good morning. Again, hope you're well and getting the things that you need to get through this time right now. Again, my name is Sway. I am director of Motown Music Accelerator here in Detroit. Previously, I was an artist. I'm in Motown. I've been coaching and grooming artists since then, and I'm excited to share these resources with you all today. Thanks for joining us.
Cool, thanks guys. Backline, I think for those that were on the previous webinars, the Backline as a whole is we work within communities to strengthen and support the local music industry and its respective artists and connect them with local and national experts to further their careers as musicians. Backline currently works in Milwaukee, Detroit, and soon in Cleveland, but we try to provide resources to the bigger artist community beyond our local cities that we work with. So the Backline Emergency Response Program, we put this program together in the last month or so as a response to the COVID-19 crisis. This program features daily webinars designed to identify, understand, and help artists secure resources to withstand the current crisis. We offer one-on-one office hours. So if you guys have received emails on these webinars, there is office hours available for you guys to reach out and do one-on-ones with us just to talk over maybe something that you learned in one of the webinars or something you didn't quite understand, or you just need help with your career. Feel free to reach out. The one-on-ones are 100% free and available to any artist that's watching these webinars, no matter if you're in Milwaukee, Detroit, Cleveland, or anywhere. This program itself will be running from April 6th through the 17th. So remember, if you guys have any questions or would like to do a one-on-one, feel free to reach out. Some of the things that we will be talking about during this emergency response program are step-by-step process of determining eligibility and applying for financial support from various organizations, navigating the opportunities in the virtual music industry, mental health and wellness resources, music administration, and upkeeping your digital presence. And today's webinars will be on unemployment resources and small business loans, in particular for artists. That will be led by Stephanie Hammonds. She's the owner of Law Office of Stephanie L. Hammonds. After that, we will have a presentation on TikTok by Ogo. He's the founder of 13th. So anyone that's looking to learn more about TikTok, which is a social media platform, that will be after this. And then after that, we will be doing a listening session with Bose. He's a Detroit producer, currently living in LA, multi-platinum producer, has worked with the likes of Britney Spears to Beyonce, to BTS, pretty well-versed in hip hop, pop, and many other genres. So that will happen today at 12:30. This Friday, we'll be doing a presentation, and these times are all Central Time. I know there's artists that are in different time zones, so just know that if you got a calendar invite, that will be in different times for the webinars. This Friday, we have a presentation with Perry Bashkoff, who's the head of music at Instagram. At noon, we'll be doing a listening session with an A&R at APG, Atlantic Records, similar to the one we will be doing today with Bose. And then at 1 p.m., we'll be doing a digital marketing presentation with Nick Osborne, who's the Vice President of Digital Strategy at Universal Music Group. So this is this week. Next week, we'll be doing presentations on personal finance, mental health, music administration, local and national resources, music industry response to COVID-19 with Mark Byers, who's the General Manager at Motown Records. So these are all the topics. These are also all available on the website, just backlinemusic.com, in case you would like to get some more information. So I also want to do a quick reminder for the one-on-one office hours. If you would like to set up a one-on-one with anyone from the team, check your email for the sign up. We have sent reminders, so we really encourage. I've done a couple of office hours myself with some artists. This could be for anything really in regards to your career. So feel free to you guys take us up on that offer. Before we get started with our first presentation, we had a ton of questions about the listening session. If you would like your song to be played during the listening session today, which will be with Timothy Bullock, the email to send your music to is submityourmusic2020@gmail.com. So I'm gonna give you guys a minute to write that down if you guys would like to send your music. Let's see.
And when you're sending emails to that Gmail address, try to send links, not downloads. Appreciate it.
So I'll go back to the email for those that didn't get it. But what we're looking for when you're sending your music, we ask that you put on the subject the artist name. So your artist name, your genre, and then your city. So that's what you put on the subject line. And then we ask that you only send one song. We're trying to get as many people. We'll have about 45 minutes with both, and we hope that we can get as many people in the listening session. So you can start sending your music now, but we ask that you send one song only. We're asking for Dropbox, Google Drive, and SoundCloud links only. No attachments. Please, no attachments. We can't guarantee that he'll be able to play the music if you send attachments. And then we also ask that you only send one song. We can't guarantee that he'll play more than one song. So, just to avoid any of that conflict, let's just make sure that we send one song. So one song, and then Dropbox, Google, and SoundCloud links only, no attachments. And on the subject line, artist name, genre, and city. I put an example here. So if I was an artist sending a song, it would be mag, genre, country, and then my city name, Milwaukee. So the email address is here, submityourmusic2020@gmail.com. I'm gonna leave it up for a little bit, a couple more minutes, and then we can get started with our first presentation. Brian, I think there's some questions on the Q&A, but it's not giving me access. Would you be able to go through those, or Sway?
Hello, thanks for having this. How do I apply for SBA loan under CARES Act, being a single member LLC with 1099 employees? Consequently, do the 1099s I've gotten out count as employee or just contracted for hire workers? We are going to answer that during this webinar. Stephanie will get to that, and if not, then you can reach out to her with individual questions if that's not specifically answered during our talk.
Is there any questions on the listening session at all?
Let's see.
Yeah, I'm handling him.
Yesterday.
Well, actually, this one we should say out loud. It's do I have to send again if I sent music yesterday? Yes, because it needs to go to this email address. So please resend or forward that email to submityourmusic2020@gmail.
And please follow the format. We're trying to make this as, I guess, easy as possible for both.
Are we okay with YouTube links?
Yes and no. I think the only problem is like I wanted to use links that don't have ads. If you send a link and then there's ads, you know, I don't know if he'll skip it or he just won't play it. So if you have a Dropbox link, Google Drive link, that's possible. If you don't have access to any of those, then YouTube link will be okay.
Ryan, did you answer the one about the format of the subject line? I saw it disappear really quickly.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. Just artist name, genre, city.
SoundCloud links are okay, yes.
Yes. Any other questions on the listening session?
The format is posted right now as a screen share. Somebody's asking for that. Your artist name, genre, and the city you're in.
Cool. I think this is a good segue. Sway, if you wanna lead.
Hey, so Stephanie, are you ready to present? I think she's ready. Thank you for, we just want to say thank you for Stephanie coming on. She's an entertainment attorney based here in Detroit. We had her as a part of our kickoff for our fall 2019 Motown Accelerator Artist Cohort last year. And she is a wealth of information. What we want to just share with you today are resources that you can use right now, loans that you can be applying for right now, grants that are available to you. The language and the legislation is complicated because a lot of this stuff just came on board weeks ago. So there are no experts on it at this point, but we're just here to help you by pointing out these resources and then being able to answer follow-up questions when you have questions. And please don't feel too overwhelmed to reach out. That's the point of the one-on-ones. Your the original email that you got with the link to this webinar, it has the information for you to sign up for office hours. So this is just an overview. We definitely want you to reach out individually, especially if you have a question that pertains directly to your situation. Don't be afraid to reach out to us. We're here to help. So with all of that said, I want to introduce Miss Stephanie Hammonds. Stephanie, you can go ahead and, oh, there you are. I see you now. Oh, and you're muted, Stephanie, so click unmute.
Hi, everybody. It's my pleasure to be with you guys this afternoon. Good morning to the people on Central Time, and good afternoon to my people on Eastern Standard Time. It's my pleasure really to be here because I've been practicing for about 29 years now, and my goal is really to help artists and creative people navigate a rough terrain. So right now we're going through some difficult times. They're unprecedented, and nobody really knows what to do or how to do it, and we're doing it in real time. So I just want us to take a deep breath and relax and to have a little bit of fun. We have enough stress in our daily lives. So I'm here to be your tour guide and to try to help you navigate through the financial terrain. So the theme for today's talk is really show me the money. So I've prepared a deck, and we're going to walk through some of the available financial resources that are available. Can you guys see the deck? I'm trying to share it.
Yep,
That's
that's
Can
great.
you see it?
Yes, we see it. Just
Okay,
go ahead
great.
and make it full screen if you can.
Okay. Yep. Is that better? that says full screen. Is that better?
I'm waiting on it to catch up. It's a little lag on our end.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Actually, I think you see up at the very top of your screen where there.
So I would like you guys to consider me, like I said, your tour guide. Let's have some fun and just figure out how you guys can survive and take advantage of the financial resources. So again, the theme is show me the money. So we're going to begin with the things that are easy and more familiar. You may have heard of the federal stimulus package check that we're getting from the IRS. That's something that should be familiar on everyone's radar. Then we're going to move to unemployment insurance from states. That's something that we've heard of. It's not foreign. Then we're going to deal with paycheck protection. That's something that has been established in response to this pandemic. And then we're going to deal with economic injury disaster loans, and then some general information about other private sources for grants and financial support. So let's start out with the federal stimulus payment. And let me just say this too. All of this information is coming in real time. My promise to you is that I will share the information that I know and have to the best of my ability. It's changing daily. At the end of this presentation, I will have my contact information. I plan to stay abreast of the changes and updates. So if at any time something that I say isn't clear, or if you have questions afterwards, you can feel free to contact me. So without further ado, the federal stimulus payment is something that is a one-time payment generated from the Internal Revenue Service. There is no application process. By virtue of you being a U.S. taxpayer, you are eligible. There are a few other eligibility requirements. Number one, in order to receive the payment, you have to have a Social Security number. Number two, you cannot be claimed as a dependent on someone else's tax return. So if you are a child or your parent claims you as a dependent on their income tax return, regardless of whether you are working or have a job or not, you will not be eligible. If you are a disabled adult who's living with someone who claims you as a dependent on a tax return, unfortunately, you will not be available for the federal stimulus payment. So people who earn income of $75,000 or less, single people, are eligible. Married couples with combined annual incomes of $150,000 or less are eligible for the payment. So what is the amount of the payment? Well, if you're a single person with the annual income of $75K or less, it's $1,200 plus $500 per child or dependent. If you're a married couple and you're entitled to a total of, and your combined income, is less than $150,000, you would receive a total of $2,400 plus $500 per child. Now, how is that income determined? Your income is determined based on the amount of your adjusted gross income that was reported on your 2019 return if you've already filed. If you haven't yet filed the 2019 return, it will be based on your adjusted gross income that was reported on your 2018 return. People who have not filed a tax return recently will need to file their 2018 and or 2019 return in order to be eligible for the stimulus payment. So how frequently are we going to receive the stimulus payment? It's a one-time payment. So you're one and done. Of course, that's subject to any amendments that's made to the legislation, but as of now, you'll receive a one-time payment depending on your eligibility. When you can expect to receive payment, the IRS is currently saying that they expect most payments to go out on April 17th, so that's a week from this coming Friday. That is if you have made or received refunds in the past through direct deposit, or the IRS has your direct deposit information. You will also receive a written notification in the mail that will let you know that the payment has been dispersed, so that you'll be on the alert if you don't receive it and you can track it. Now, for those people who do not use direct deposit, or who the IRS does not have your direct deposit information, then in that case, the IRS will be developing a portal for taxpayers to submit their direct deposit information in the coming weeks. I say air quotes, coming weeks. That is the current message on the IRS's website. As soon as there's more information, I'll make it available. So in short, next Friday, if you have direct deposit information on record with the IRS, your bank account, bank routing information, and that information, then you can expect to receive your stimulus payment if you're eligible starting next Friday, April 17th. So that completes the presentation of information about the stimulus package. So far so good, I hope. Not too complicated, pretty cut and dry. Now, employment benefits get a tad bit more complicated, but we can handle it. So first of all, when you're looking at eligibility requirements and application processes for obtaining unemployment benefits, those eligibility requirements and processes vary by state. Because I'm based in the great state of Michigan, as it pertains to the state information, my information is going to focus on Michigan processes and procedures. But there is some federal information that's applicable to everyone in all 50 states, so listen up. So Congress passed what was called the CARES Act, and as a part of that CARES Act, they included something called Pandemic Unemployment Assistance, PUA for short. And it's a supplemental, a federal supplement that makes some big improvements and extensions that make it possible for the self-employed gig workers, those are temporary workers who may work from project to project and have no ongoing paycheck, as well as independent contractors, to receive unemployment benefits. What those benefits look like from the CARES Act perspective is what they did was for a maximum of four months, the federal government is supplementing your state unemployment benefits. That means that for the next 4 months, you will get it on top of whatever you're eligible to receive based on your state's unemployment benefits. You will receive an additional weekly sum of $600, and that comes from the federal government. How that's paid to you will depend upon your state. Here in Michigan, that will be included or added to your unemployment benefits payment. So when we're talking about eligibility for unemployment benefits in Michigan, it's a pretty simple criteria. You must either be partially or fully unemployed, or you have to be unavailable to work because you're self-quarantining, you have a local guidance, a requirement to quarantine, you have children whose schools are closed, or your place of work is closed due to the pandemic. Now, please take note, you're not eligible for unemployment benefits in the state of Michigan if you're able to work from home and you're working from home with pay. You're receiving paid sick pay, you're receiving sick pay days or paid leave, or you're an undocumented worker. So in short, if you're unemployed or you're staying at home and unable to work due to some aspect of this pandemic, you're eligible in Michigan for unemployment benefits. So who do you contact in Michigan? To apply for unemployment benefits, you must contact the Michigan Unemployment Insurance Agency. There are two ways that you can apply for your unemployment benefits in Michigan. You can apply by phone or online. It's recommended that you apply online for faster processing of the application. And they say that the best times for filing your claims online are between 8:00 p.m. and 8 a.m. I've included a link for Michiganders for the process for applying online. So I know we have limited time, so you guys can take a screenshot of this, or you can jot it down quickly. Please do so, because I'm going to go to the next page.
And Stephanie, we can also share that link with them in a follow-up email.
Thank you. Okay. When to apply? The Michigan Unemployment Insurance Agency has been inundated with claims. Since March 25th, which is recent data they've released, they've received over 80,000 applications. So in an effort to attempt to process the applications in a more systematic and orderly way, they've developed a schedule for you to apply for unemployment benefits based on the first letter of your last name. So if your last name begins with A through L, and you're to file your claims online Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, over the phone on Mondays and Wednesdays. If your name begins with the letters M through Z, you're to file your claims online on Sunday, Tuesday, or Thursday, or you're to call on Tuesdays and Thursdays. If you miss your scheduled day based on the first letter of your last name and you're filing online, you can file on Saturdays. If you miss your scheduled day based on the beginning letter of your last name, and you want to apply by calling, then you are to call on Fridays and Saturdays. If you're applying over the phone, the hours are from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Monday through Friday, and 7 a.m. to 2 p.m. on Saturdays. Those are the times, again, if you are applying by phone. And the phone number is also on this link, and I'm assuming that you guys will share this information and make it available to the viewers as well. So I'm going to move, in the interest of time, on to the next screen. Unemployment benefits. So what information do you need to complete your application? Before you get started, whether you're applying by phone or online, you should have the following information available and accessible to you: your social security number, your driver's license number, or your Marvin PIN number if you have one. If you are not a U.S. citizen, you will need, let's see. You will need your registration number and the expiration date of your authorization to be here. Sorry, bear with me. Let me go back. You will also need the names and addresses of your employers that you've worked for the past 18 months, including the gross quarterly earnings from your last employer. Now, if you are a self-employed individual or you're an independent contractor, there is a way for you to calculate what that income would be over the last 18 months. There is a link, and I have it here in this slide, where you can input your information into a formula, and the calculator will make the determination for you. Now I got a little bit ahead of myself. How much do you get? I know that's the question. Each state has its own formula, but generally the state benefits range between 40 to 45% of your normal income. And then with the CARES Act and the additional supplemental $600 per week, that will be what your total will be. Again, you'll go to this calculator to determine what your benefits are if you don't have a regular paycheck amount that you can put into the calculation, and that will help you to determine what your state benefit will be. And then you will, in addition, be eligible for up to $600 per week for up to 39 weeks. When will you start to receive your unemployment benefits? That's the $60,000 question. It would be great if I could answer that, but I promised at the beginning I would be truthful. And with all integrity, all I can say is I do not know. They are inundated with applications, and the only advice that I can give you based on the publicly available information is that you submit your application online, because they have represented, they being the state's unemployment office has represented that if you file online, your application will be sooner. So all I do is stay submitted, and if you believe in a higher power, submit it with a prayer. And I hope that you receive it sooner rather than later. Next, we're getting into a little bit more deeper waters. It's a paycheck protection plan. This is something that is established to assist small businesses and to help them continue to operate. So who can apply? Sole proprietors. Sole proprietor is a one-man operation, one man or woman or person operation. You're your only employee. Independent contractors, again, those are not the non-traditional workers who don't have a ongoing work commitment, and they go from project to project as opposed to working a set number of hours for an hourly rate or a annual salary. And then the self-employed persons, those people who work for themselves. All three categories are eligible for the Paycheck Protection Program. So what is the Payment Protection Program? Essentially, it does a couple of things. Now, this was a program that was in existence beforehand, but it also has a component for businesses who are subject to the pandemic, or who are victimized, or who are feeling the pain of the pandemic. What does it do? First of all, it's offered through the Small Business Association of the government, and it's a program that was established by the Small Business Association, and it grants loans of up to $10 million. The idea is to cover 8 weeks of payroll and additional expenses related with your business, such as rent and utilities. Now, the loan, it is a loan, so notice loan means that typically you have to pay it back. But there is a possibility for the Paycheck Protection Program monies that you receive as a loan to be treated as a grant. Basically, in most cases, they're promising that the loan will be forgiven, meaning that you will not have to pay it back if the company uses the money to retain its current workers or to hire back people that they were forced to cut based on lost income brought about by the pandemic. How does it work? Loans are forgiven in full if the loan recipient maintains their full-time number of workers on a 40-hour week and wages, and pays them their full-time wages for the full 8 weeks after the loan is received. By the same token, if you're not able as a small business to maintain all of your full-time workers or to pay them for a full 40-hour week, or to pay them at the rate that they were receiving pre-coronavirus, then there will be some repayment required. How much can you borrow under the payroll protection plan? Companies can borrow up to 2 months of their average monthly business costs for the past year plus an additional 25%. So how do you apply? This is where it can get a little bit tricky. You have to apply through a bank or some other lender like a credit union, and all banks and all other financial type institutions are not automatically eligible lenders under the payroll protection plan. I have included a link here where you can go and find out if the bank that you use or the financial institution where you do business is an eligible lender under the payroll protection plan. I would advise you to start with the bank or financial institution where you're already doing business, and if they're not eligible, then to branch out from there. So I'm leaving the screen up for a little bit so you guys can see that link. I'm sure that this link will be made available to you after the presentation. What documents do you need for the payroll protection program? Well, there are no one set of documents, but there are some that are common because each lender sets their own rules, but there are some generally required documentation that you need. Your average monthly payroll as of February 15, 2020, records of other expenses you're looking to cover, like perhaps rent, utilities, other business-related operating expenses, overhead expenses. So in short, if you have those things, an average of your monthly payroll, what you were paying as of February 15, 2020, and records of your overhead business expenses that you're looking to cover under the loan, like rent and utilities, then that should be all of the information that you need to apply. So what if your loan is only partially forgiven? If you remember earlier, I said that your loan will be forgiven in full, meaning you won't have to pay it back if you use the funds to hire all of your staff back for their full wages that they had prior to COVID-19, and they're receiving and they're working their full-time hours. So if you met that criteria, you don't have to worry about this. The loan will be forgiven. However, if for any host of reasons you're unable to hire or retain your full-time staff to pay them at a full-time rate for their normal hours, then your loan will only be partially forgiven and you'll be required to pay it back. You'll have 2 years to pay off the loan at 1% interest, and no payments will be due for the first 6 months after you get the loan. So what's the application deadline? So as much as I'd like to say otherwise, there's a limited window for you to apply for this type of financial assistance. You must apply by no later than June 30th, 2020. Now, we're talking about the Economic Injury Disaster Loan, EIDL. This one is a little bit complicated, but I think that it's important that you guys pay attention because whereas the payroll protection plan, even though it includes the self-employed, sole proprietors, independent contractors, it's geared more toward larger small businesses. How about that oxymoron? Businesses that have employees of 100 to 500. Even though the payroll, the paycheck, protection plan is available to self-employed people, it's not really geared or tailored for the self-employed or the sole proprietors. But the Economic Injury Disaster Loan Program is. So all of the self-employed sole proprietors, please take note. So what does this program do? It also offers low interest loans of up to $2 million for businesses that have suffered losses from some type of disaster, but, and this is key, so listen up, businesses can request up to $10,000 of a disaster loan as a grant. And that's key because you can get up to $10,000 as a grant, which means you don't have to pay it back. Now this $10,000 can be a lot for the self-employed, the sole proprietors, the independent contractors. So listen up to see how you can help, how this can be used to help you and what you are going through right now. So the first thing is the application process is a lot simpler. You do not have to go to a buy own lender. You can apply for the loans directly through the Small Business Administration website. What documents do you need to apply? The application is a lot less complicated and it's designed to be completed in about 15 minutes. All you need is your business gross revenues, the cost of goods or services for the past 12 months ending in January of this year, and that's it. When processing your loan though, there might be requests for additional information. Most likely, if additional information is requested, it will be your last federal income tax return and a year-to-date profit and loss statement. When will you get the money? This is also key. The Small Business Administration is supposed to disperse up to $10,000. That's the portion of your, so you're not limited, let me be clear, you're not limited to the $10,000, but the $10,000 represents a loan advance. So that $10,000 will not have to be repaid. So even if you wind up getting more than 10,000, say you get 20,000, the 10,000 of that will be considered a loan advance and you won't have to pay it back. The additional 10,000 you will, but we'll get to that a little bit later. So the $10,000, the first $10,000 that you're eligible to receive under this emergency disaster loan will be paid supposedly within 3 days of receiving the application. So I say supposedly because I've been doing some research and some people say that they are not, they're behind and they are not receiving it within 3 days, but at least that's a target date. So that sounds like it will be a little bit more expedient than unemployment benefits. Now, what do you need to know about repayment? If you are awarded or receive more than the $10,000 loan advance, then you can set up repayment on terms of up to 30 years. So it's almost like a mortgage. I don't know that you'd want to, but it's available to you to spread out and make arrangements for repayment for up to 30-year period. The interest rate that will be charged for small businesses of repaying the loan, the monies in excess of $10,000 will be 3.75% for small businesses and 2.75% for nonprofits. This is key too. No payment is due for the first year after you've received the loan. So if you receive more than $10,000 through the Economic Injury Disaster Loan Program, your first payment will not become due until a year after you've received the funds. Now, take note of this too. I don't know how many of this applied to, but there is a personal guarantee requirement for loans that you receive in excess of $200,000. So what that means is if through the Economic Injury Disaster Loan Program, you receive a loan in excess of $200,000, not including the $10,000 loan advance, you must sign a personal guarantee. That means that if you do not repay the loan as you're supposed to, your personal assets can be garnished, your home can be, a lien can be placed on your home, your personal property, whether it's in income or monies in a financial institution or personal property, vehicles, and etc., can be confiscated or seized to satisfy the debt. Now, that's only if you have loans in excess of $200,000. loans from $1 through $199,900, there is no personal guarantee. I hope that's clear. How much can you borrow? For these loans, it's a little bit different. You don't specify the amount. The SBA will determine how much you're eligible for based on the information that you provide. And the guide that they will use in coming up with the amount that you're owed will be, they will be intending to approximate, they will be intending to award you approximately 6 months of your operating expenses. So in short, you can't request the amount, the SBA determines it based on the information you provide. The target they'll be shooting for when they determine how much money to award you will be trying to give you an estimated amount that will cover up to 6 months of your operating expenses. So what's the deadline for the application? When dealing with the economic disaster loan, you have the deadline for the $10,000 loan advance or grant is December 30th of this year. So I'm gonna pause just for just a second because I got dry mouth and I know I've been giving you guys a lot of information. So I hope that it's not all running together and that it was broken up into more manageable pieces. So I hope you guys are out there and you're doing okay.
Stephanie, yes, this is Sway. Go ahead, take your water. This has been amazing.
Okay. So other resources.
No, this has been great. But
what I've given you a rundown of is
Stephanie,
really the information available from governmental agencies on the state and federal level. But there are other private corporations and organizations that offer monetary relief and resources. So this page I've chosen just to provide links to some of the websites and lists that have been compiled either by organizations or websites that have a comprehensive list of other private sources of financial resources for creative people and solo and independent solo practitioners, sole providers, independent contractors, and self-employed. So I'm sure this information will be made available to you guys as well, but I wanted to provide it on the screen now. I also would like to encourage you guys, I know there is a site on Facebook for among music production individuals affected by COVID-19. And I would encourage you guys to, I beg your pardon?
Hey, this is Sway. I want to jump in really quickly. We have to stick with our schedule for the rest of the day, and I do want to get to people's Q&A in the chat section. So any other links that you want us to share with them, just shoot them to me in an email and I'll pass them on to the larger group. Everybody who started the presentation is still here, so all of the information you're giving was really, really great. I want to get into some specific questions. And let's just, for the responses, if you can't answer it like, you know, like really quickly, then let's save it for email. Okay, so the first question is, how do I apply for SBA loan under the CARES Act being a single member LLC with 1099 employees? Consequently, do the 1099s I've given out count as employees or just contracted for hire workers? Did you catch that, Stephanie?
No, I'm sorry, it stopped. You said 1099s that you've given out, then it broke up.
Yeah, how do I apply for SBA loan, being a single member LLC, and do the 1099s I've given out count as employees or just contracted for hire workers?
Can you repeat the first part of the question again? How can you apply for
SBA loan, the SBA loan under the CARES Act?
I can't hear you, Sway.
We might have to take these to email then. Or, oh wait, you know what? I can text it to you.
Okay.
Stephanie, do you see the Q&A button? Do you have that option on your screen?
Let me see. I saw it at one point, but let me see.
I think if you scroll down or you click on
I
this,
don't see it now. Oh, wait, let me see. I see participants. Nope, the Q&A section I don't see.
okay. Can you hear me by any chance?
Oh, yes, I do. Let me see. How do I apply for SBA loan under the CARES Act, being a single member LLC with 1099 employees? Consequently, do the 1099s I've given out count as employees or just contracted for hire workers? So thank you for the question. I'm going to answer to the best of my ability. You would apply, actually you're eligible for both the payroll protection plan, paycheck protection plan, as well as the disaster, emergency, I'm sorry, I can't remember the last thing I just talked about. So what you would need to do as it relates to your 1099 independent contractors, you would list those as part of your overhead expenses. And you would be able to apply, and I would recommend that you apply for the economic disaster loan under the SBA. I hope that answers the question.
Yeah, let's go on to the next one, Madeline.
Oh, well, the next one says no YouTube links. I don't know what that means. Can the song we send be an original rendition or a cover, or should it just be original?
We can skip any of those.
Okay.
I'll read the next one. It says, how can we alter our unemployment claim if we already were accepted as a W-2 worker? I am on 1099 independent contractor as well, and I cannot find the info to add that to my claim. My W-2 claim was submitted before the CARES Act eligibility was in place. So the question is, can you alter an unemployment claim that you had already submitted if it was accepted?
Can you alter a claim? To my knowledge, that's a state question in Michigan. I do not believe that you can alter a state claim, but I will look it up, and I will, if I can get the email of this person, I will email them back with a specific answer. So the next question I see is about a person and a couple who was denied unemployment insurance through the state of Michigan. There was no tab to add our average income of self-employment. What happens next? This is a sticky topic. The reason being is that the state of Michigan said on their website that they would be updating the application process to include the CARES Act requirements. As of yet, they have not done so. And when I visited the site today, they disabled the page with the information on there. So that's a question to be continued. I'm sorry I don't have the answer, but I'm going to be checking it daily. But right now, the state of Michigan is trying to determine how they're going to expand and how they're going to incorporate the CARES Act provision, which allows for self-employed individuals to receive unemployment benefits. They've not yet synchronized their system yet. And as I said, they have a simple statement on their website that says, we'll be updating it soon. And now when you click on that link, it doesn't even take you to a page that summarizes things. So that's a to be continued question. And I hope to have an answer for that in the coming days. And I'll be happy if I can get the email address to respond to that when the information becomes available. DeAndre Owens asked if he's just an individual artist and in the midst of executing a plan to fund his career, which one would he be eligible for? Now, the one requirement is that you're already involved. If you've set up an LLC or you're actively engaged, we're actively engaged in the process of funding your career as a business. That's what the goal of these resources are for. It is not a startup source of revenue and income for you. So if you have not already been engaged in the business of setting up your activities as a business and budgeting and engage in spending money, then you're not in a position to take advantage of these financial resources, unfortunately, because as I said, they're for existing businesses, not startup.
Stephanie, do you see the question from Brandon Williams?
I'm scrolling. No, I don't, but I'm trying to scroll down. No, I don't.
Sway, could you read it?
Nope.
Yeah. Says,
can you read it to me?
Yep. It says, I haven't seen yet in Michigan where to fill out an application for unemployment. There's a statement on the splash page that states the application is coming soon.
Right. Right. So I didn't hear the first part of the question because they say it's coming soon, but it isn't there yet.
Correct. Do you know where they would fill out the application for unemployment?
The only applications that was, let me rephrase what I was saying to the couple who had been denied unemployment benefits because there was no space for self-employment. So even though there is no application right now for the state of Michigan that includes the self-employment aspect or eligibility that was given through the CARES Act. So I'm just waiting daily. There is no way to even contact anyone to talk to them. And as I said, I was disappointed that there was a link that you could click on that gave a summary of information earlier this week, but no application. And now even the information on that page is no longer available. So the state of Michigan does not have an active unemployment application for you to fill out if you are falling within the self-employed exception of the CARES Act. So that's to be continued. We have to keep looking and watching.
Okay, thank you. We have one more. I already filed for unemployment before the CARES Act was passed. Will that be updated automatically or do you need to reapply?
You went out, Sway. If you're talking, I can't hear you.
Okay. I already filed for unemployment before the CARES Act was passed. Will that be updated automatically or do you need to reapply?
Was that person a unemployed person that was a traditional worker who had a regular ongoing salary, or are they a independent contractor or sole proprietor?
They didn't specify. I'm assuming independent contractor, but I don't know.
Okay, so if they're a traditional worker, no. If they are self-employed or a sole proprietor or independent contractor, they will need to reapply. And again, this is the big problem that we're having, what Brandon asked and what the couple mentioned. Right now, the state of Michigan is not providing that application. So if you apply now as a self-employed individual under the traditional application, you're going to be denied because the traditional application does not make allowances for self-employed independent contractors or sole proprietors to receive unemployment benefits. So it's an unfortunate waiting game, trying to make sure and wait for the state unemployment office to get up to date to have the application so that the self-employed independent contractors can apply and get the relief that they're entitled to under the CARES Act.
Thank you. We can take one more, and then any other questions that come in after this one, we'll just connect you with Stephanie. But okay. This question was how does the CARES Act work for live sound workers and event workers that might have been under a company, but it's gig work?
Well, let me just say this. So gig work means that you can work under a company, but you are not an employee because you're paid as a 1099 worker, or you're paid by project, by tour, and not on an ongoing basis as a traditional worker would be. So as a gig worker, the CARES Act extends, again, unemployment benefits to you. So you're eligible where you wouldn't be under normal times due to COVID-19. You're eligible for the state benefits for unemployment, as well as $600 a month. But it's a matter of getting the application processed. And unfortunately, it goes through the state of Michigan's unemployment office. And the problem that we are talking about, if you're based in Michigan, is that the state of Michigan unemployment office has not made that application for for self-employed and independent contractors available yet. But once it is available, you would fill out that form and you would be eligible.
All right. Thank you, Stephanie. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. We are going to send out several of the links Stephanie shared in our presentation in an email today. So be on the lookout for that. We're going to take a short break right now before we get ready for our TikTok presentation. Brian or Mag, if you had anything you want to say, you can jump in now. If not, we'll see you guys in just a few minutes for our next webinar.
Thank you, guys. Good luck.
Thank you, Stephanie.
Thank you, Stephanie.
You're welcome. Bye-bye.
Bye.